Modernism Trail of Katowice. The building of the Silesian Office for Voidship and Silesian Parliament at UOL Jagiellonowska, 25. Good morning, and welcome to our next podcast. The beginning of the history of the building initiates the connections of the upper parts of Silesia to the Republic in Poland in 1922. The region has gained wide autonomy. That is why there was a need to establish a seat for the new legislative institution. The construction of the parliament has begun and the Silesian treasury. The building was supposed to emphasize the importance of deliberations taking place therein, as well as the belonging to its own matrix. That is why the competition was announced, exclusively for Polish architects. The building was built in 1929, and at the opening appeared President Ignacy Mościcki himself. The building of the Silesian Office for Voidship and Silesian Parliament became a symbol of Silesian autonomy. On the modernism trail of Katowice, we will be guided by Ms. Barbara Zygmanska and Mr. Piotr Fuglewicz, who are the authors of Walking Guide of Katowice. A lot can be said about the building. It is a showcase of Katowice, recognizable by almost every inhabitant. It is one of the largest and most important buildings on the modernistic trail of Katowice, which has as many as 600 rooms. The corridors have a total length of 6 kilometers. However, let us go back to history, at the beginning. Mr. Piotr, how did this start? Mr. Piotr said, "It began in 1922 with the division of Silesia and attaching its parts to the Republic of Poland. Silesia obtained a significant autonomy, which was the so-called bargaining chip, because the eastern part of the Opol region, during the plebiscite, i.e. the part of Silesia that found after the division of Silesia in Prussia, had the idea proposed by the Germans fairly extensive autonomy. As an incentive, autonomy was promised on the Polish side long before the return of Silesia to Poland. When the independence was created here, the autonomous province of Silesia organ was needed, Silesian Parliament. It was located in a building today known as the Academy of Music, beautifully developed already in the 21st century. The Parliament was located there for 7 years until when he was not transferred to the representative building. At the time of its creation, it was the largest surface area of the building in Poland, which was created as a result of competition. He's on the modernism trail is a building absolutely classicizing, which imitates his form Palazzo in Fortezza, Italian palace, which at the same time was a defensive palace. It was designed by Kraków architects. While the very idea of the competition was such, Gothic style is out of the question. Gothic style, red brick, it was all associated absolutely with Germany. Therefore, everything what the reborn Polish state was building. It was supposed to be different. Hence the success of the monochrome modernism. She was a natural style who immediately took up residence here in accordance with ideological assumptions. Besides, that it was a very good assumption while the building of the Silesian Parliament has been ordered by the competition in such a way that I'm sure it didn't resemble anything German. Similar to anything German, these two representative enormous buildings, government and secular, had show prestige, power, strength of the newly established for voidship. Then they showed more strength than Poland, the power of autonomy, because this autonomy started to be blocked by the sanitation after 1926. So when in 1929 it was opened, it was rather a symbol of Poland's dominion over this than a symbol of a Silesian autonomy. It is worth adding that the Parliament Hall, Schwanski, became a model for the hall of the Polish Parliament built later. Lecturer said, "And as for the style itself, Miss Barbara said, first, I'm going to talk about the contest, which Mr. Piotr has already mentioned. For this contest received as many as 67 works, so you can see that he enjoyed many great successes. The project has been selected by Kraków architects. These were Kazimierz Wyszynski, Piotr Jurkiewicz, Stefan Zielensky, and Ludwik Wojciechka. These architects designed the building in such a way as it looks today. It consists of 4 powerful buildings. On the inner courtyard is oval. The room of Silesian Parliament is covered with a dome. There's a lantern in the dome that lights up this room. Arrangement of the Parliament chamber is preserved in the style of Art Deco. After entering room sessions of the Silesian Parliament, on the walls you can see eagles. Everything inside was meant to be related to the fact that it belongs to the Polish state. It was emphasized on every step of the way. Mr. Piotr said, "The decor is not fully preserved of this building. In the neo-Baroque staircase leading to the chamber of meetings, on the top there were 4 reliefs depicting the Silesian industry, Silesian agriculture and science. They were destroyed by the Germans. However, Germany did not destroy the letters of the Republic of Poland, because stated that this means Provinzregierung, because that's where the provincial administration was introduced. Thanks to this, the hairstyle survived a significant modification that the Germans made was the Parade Hall, which today we call the Marble Hall. There's no evidence of that, but is attributed to the alteration of the room Albert Speer, the court architect of Hitler. That's why the Marble Hall played the Reich Chancellery in the film, more than life at stake. Hans Kloss received the Iron Cross in it. So we have an indigenous Polish building, an example of German architecture. I think at the moment, removing it would be absurd. But his connections aren't the best, lecturer said. And the building is still inside a vault that we are quite curious about, history. Mrs. Barbara, could you please give us a closer look at the history for our listeners? Mrs. Barbara said, "The vault is now empty, but actually in the building of the Silesian Parliament, there were 2 underground stories. One occupied a shelter built during the war, and in the second one he found the vault. There were gold bars stored there. Under the vault there was a pool filled with water. In the event of an emergency, you can open such valves and sink all the gold. You can say about one more experience, which still works today. I'm talking about the bead crane, the so-called paternoster. This is an elevator that is moved in constant motion. The cabins are underneath each other and drive around, but not in turns, upside down, but not in the attic, not in the basement. I ran over this once for a test run. Elevator through the attic and basement. I got out of here alive. Great attraction, especially for children." Lecturer, let's move on to the second building, to the office building unassembled at the square of Silesian Parliament. The building was in response to growing needs, city and voivodeship administration. We need office space, designed by Witold Kłębkowski and completed in 1937. Of the year, it served as its original function shortly, because after entering the Germans in time, in World War II, it was renamed Gestapo headquarters after the war. After the war, they were stationed there, officers in civic militia and party dignitaries. Since 1990, the buildings have been managed by University of Silesia and housed there, the Faculty of Philology until last semester too. The students spent many years there. Let's give the floor to our experts. Mr. Piotr said, "Historically, this is what it looks like. That huge building of the Office for Voivodeship was still not to end sufficient for administration. Again, an architectural idea appears here. This building is just a long, white, completely smooth building. It has only banded windows. That is, building such a window strings with constituted one of the hallmarks of modernity. This building was Kłębkowski's conscious reaction for a certain glamour architectural design of today's office. This building was purely functional. The office is the office. There is no need to admire it. Its decoration was a relief of a mad sculpture. Stanisław Szukalski. It was a sculpture of an eagle. So we had a completely smooth building, and on it, at the height of 2 eagle floor, it was supposed to show it was the true state building." Lecturer said, "Thank you to all of our listeners, and above all, to my guests. In the next episode, we will look at the villas designed by Tadeusz Michejda." This project is funded by government budget. The podcasts have been read by Braden Buddy.